Hey, what's poppin', guys? Sizzle here, and today we're taking a look at the Spectrum 2 case. So first things first, we have the Jungle Slipstream. Has the same problem most G3 skins have, where the front is super stretched, and otherwise its design is somewhat confusing, and is the problem that a lot of semi-old skins have, where it's like more scratched than it should be. There's a .06, and there are very noticeable scratches throughout a lot of this weapon. And the design itself is just a really bad looking camo. I think if you're going with a camo skin, there's a lot better options than this. Honestly, can't put this anywhere good. I'd actually probably just stick with a stock G3 instead of this, even though it is like 7 cents. It's just not worth getting. It has nothing special to offer, and if you just want a camo G3, which is what this is trying to do, there's a lot better options for you. There's no real reason to use this G3 skin. Then we have the Mac10 Oceanic, which is a lot better looking. Not sure exactly what all these random light blue splotches are supposed to be on the design, but it almost looks like a Hawaiian floral pattern, just with a darkish, like really dark blue and light blue kind of color combo. Hey, it doesn't look horrible. It doesn't really look that great. I think it's kind of a D tier skin. I think there's a good amount of better options out there than this Mech 10. Next up, we have the Sawed Off Morris, which is almost entirely the stock sawed off, and then the back part just has some simple flower pattern to it. Doesn't look bad, right? Can't say it looks horrible, right? The flowers look really nice, but the fact that this is basically just the stock sawed off, uh, in my opinion, makes it a lot worse. I think if this pattern could have easily been applied to pretty much the whole weapon, and I think it would have looked really solid if it did. But without that, this is a pretty bad skin to the point where it's barely better than stock. So I'm putting it at the bottom, very bottom of D tier. That's all I can really say about it. Then we have the G3SG1 Hunter, which is just a wooden G3SG. Um, yeah, it actually looks really clean. It's just a wooden G3. And it doesn't have the problem most G3s have where it's super stretched, and even the main parts of the weapon have been kind of redone to look a lot more clean. And this almost just looks like almost like a hunting sniper rifle that you'd see people hunting with. I guess I don't fucking know, but it just looks really clean. I don't think you can go too wrong with this. It's kind of weird that the back has dark wood and the front has light wood, but that's probably just a lighting problem and not actually something with the skin. But the skin itself, just a simple wooden skin, and it looks clean as fuck. I'm gonna put it actually in B tier. I think it's one of the nicer looking G3s out there because there's no stretching issues like most skins have, and it's got a very clean design. Then we have the Tech 9 cracked Opal, which is famous because there's like you can have like a dick on the back of it with the right pattern. But as its actual main design, it's like a grounds getting like cracked open by some kind of blue energy, and it looks pretty solid. I can't say it looks as clean or as great as that G3 did, but I can say you can't really go wrong having this equipped. There's no noticeable wear problems, but even if there were, I think it would almost go with the skin because it's kind of like getting cracked open almost by this blue energy or whatever. And yeah, that's really all to say about that one. Solid C tier, very just solid choice for a Tech 9 skin if you have to have a cheap one. Um, we have the Glock 18 Offworld, which I believe is one of those skins that gets better the worse the wear is. Unfortunately, this is almost in perfect condition to .01, so I can't see the full features of a bad wear Offworld. But as a good wear one, it just looks like a nice light blue, almost like futuristic feeling Glock. Seems like it has a lot of wear to it, like a lot of battles, a lot of X's, and there's some counting here going on for some reason. And it just looks really solid. Looks almost like a sci-fi Glock. Even though I don't believe that's what it's going for, it just seems like a solid option to me. Probably a bit more solid than the Tech 9, just by a tiny bit. Next up, we have our first purple, the XM1014 Ziggy, which is something I've never seen, and for good reason. First off, this is only applied to half the skin, and half the skin is self-stock. And then second off, the pattern that is applied looks horrible and has a really disgusting looking sheen. Just stick to stock. This is absolutely horrible. Cannot recommend anyone gets this skin. It's even worse. At least the G3 is a competent skin. It's just outclassed by a lot of very similar ones. This one just sucks. Just don't get it. That's all I can really say about that. Then we have the UMP45 Exposure, which is like an X-ray of a UMP45 with some kind of animal for some reason. Looks clean. I mean, it's just a black background is always really nice and everything, and the actual design of this is very like vivid and noticeable, and it looks kind of dope. You can't really go wrong with this one. I can't say it's particularly great, so I can't put it even in B tier, but I can definitely put it in the middle of C tier. I think it's just a pretty solid skin for UMP. Then we have the MP9 Goo, which is actually really solid. It's one of the few MP9 skins that has the pattern applied to the entire MP9, and the actual design is just a nice, like, gooey black liquid covering a white base skin. And, yeah, looks really nice. There's a lot of sticker crafts, especially from 2020 RMR, that go really well with this thing. I personally know. I've seen quite a lot of them. This is actually a surprisingly good skin for sticker crafts, and the base design isn't even bad either. I can't really say you can go wrong with this one either. And as someone who's owned this before, I can say I actually kind of recommend owning this one. Not as well as this G3, which I'm actually gonna move up to A tier. I think it was a really well done G3 skin. There's not that many better ones out there, so yeah. Next up we have the SG553 Phantom, which is yeah, it's a like high tech SG553. It is applied to the whole skin, so I'll give it credit for that. But otherwise, it just looks almost like an HD kind of modernized SG553. Nothing crazy, definitely not bad, but just not really crazy good. I'll just put it top of C tier because it does apply to the whole skin, which is pretty rare for SG skins. Then we have the CZ AutoTactica, which has almost like a bubblegum kind of design to the CZ75. Very solid color scheme. The design actually kind of fits the weapon, and there's this cool little pink paw print in the bottom corner on either side of the handle. Yeah, it's just it's a somewhat solid color design in general, and the actual design of the weapon works very well. So I'm actually gonna say it's a pretty solid skin for the CZ in particular. Don't think that pattern will work well on most other things, but the CZ skins are kind of simple, so I'm gonna say you can't really go too wrong with having this equipped, so it's going in the C tier for me. Then we have the PP Bison High Roller, which is really sick. The barrel becomes a bunch of casino chips. There's a bunch of cards and dice and all the different symbols that you find on cards and stuff. And the general color scheme of the whole thing kind of reminds you of kind of like a casino table, right? Red and black chips. That's kind of what everyone knows it for. And even the back and the handle of the weapon got adjusted with this design, and it just looks really, really clean. The chips for the barrel was a really solid idea, and the rest of the design is super clean. Definitely probably my favorite PP Bison skin I've seen so far. We haven't seen all of them, but this is definitely one of the best Bison skins you can have. So for that reason, it's an S tier skin. Not because it's like super flamboyant or crazy, but just because it's super clean and it's on a weapon that normally doesn't even get full skins. And the skin design is very, very well thought out, very unique, and just very well done. I can't really find any flaws with this weapon, and I don't think there's any way they could have improved it. So, yeah, really well done this time. And we have the R8 Revolver Llama cannon, which there's a llama in the middle, like a golden llama, and there's a bunch of like coolish looking designs and a really solid color scheme to go with it. Sucks that's on the R8, so it'll never get used, but the actual design is pretty cool. There's a standing llama on the back and a sitting one in the front, and all these random kind of patterns and stuff look really dope, especially with the right lighting, and even with the wrong lighting, like something like this, they still look dope pretty much across the board. And there's even a cool ass llama face in the back, which you might be able to see in game. I hope you can, because that'd be dope. But yeah, it's a really, really well done R8 skin. Surprised that the people that use the R8 don't use this one, considering it's probably cheap like every other R8 skin. It's just a really well done one. I'd say definitely an A tier one. A lot of thought put into it. Just looks really clean, and I can't find too much wrong with it. And we have the M41S leaded glass or leaded glass. I don't know exactly how you say this. And it just looks almost like a Picasso kind of art piece. I know it's supposed to be like stained glass or whatever, but it really just looks like some Picasso type stuff. Just looks really solid. Doesn't look particularly insanely good, but it looks really solid. You definitely can't go wrong with this one. To the point where I'm actually going to put this up in B tier. I don't think it's as solid as the top 3 skins that we have, but it's just really clean. Then we have the P250 See You Later, and plays off the word see you later alligator in that phrase, because the whole actual skin is just one kind of alligator. You got the teeth and the eyes in the front, and then some kind of like scales and claws on the bottom and like the side. And there's also, it's almost also a mechanical alligator. You can see like the gears and stuff, and it just looks really clean. I'm gonna be honest, I really want this thing. I might actually pick one up, but there are a lot of other really solid P250 skins out there, so it almost gets overlooked just because it's a bit pricey of a skin. I think it's like $10 fact new. When you can get some other really solid looking P250 skins for like less than $1. So I think that's the reason this one doesn't see as much use. If this had been like a purple or something, I probably would have already owned this. But yeah, it's a really, really well done P250 skin. A lot of thought put into it. Very well done design. To the point that I think it's a bottom A tier. Actually, above the Llama thing. I really like the Llama thing, but this one's really solid. But yeah. And our final skin is one of the most used AK skins on the planet for some reason. The AK47 Empress. I swear I see this in every second game. And, it's a pretty solid design, to be fair. It's very well thought out, kind of Empress going through like the galaxy. I don't know what this stuff from the bomb's supposed to be, but it just feels right there. There's like a bunch of different shields because, Empress would be like a queen of some kind of kingdom or whatever. And there's even like a crown in the front to, just make sure you notice the Empress, and some other kind of the Roman numerals also suggesting like, the third Empress or whatever. I don't know. It's a pretty solid design, but I think this one gets too much use for what it is. I think there's a lot of other solid AK skins out there that just don't get as much use as this thing does, and it's a very solid looking skin, but it's not like insane. It's just a really well done design. They're definitely very well thought out. But it doesn't leave a lot of room for like sticker crafts whatsoever. And especially by the mag right here, I think the mag just looks almost slightly out of place. But it's cool that they got this kind of design on an AK, and it definitely works very well. I'm not gonna give too much flack. This is clearly a very well done, very well thought out skin by whatever artist made this. But yeah, it's a pretty solid one. I definitely can't say it's gonna be bad in any way. Um, so yeah, top of A tier for me. I don't think it's as good as the high roller. That high roller is just really hard to beat. I don't know why there's an extra AUG here. I think I messed up the tier list when I made it. But yeah, that's it for the Spectrum 2 case. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.